What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Seven Figure Flipping Podcast. Today, I've got another deal breakdown. Had a lot of fun talking to my guest today, G. He's in Philly. He's got a great deal. He found like insanely low price. We talk about how he found it, what his timeline is, what the budget is, how he funded it, all that good stuff. You guys are really going to enjoy this. And stay tuned, and we'll jump in with G.
Bill Allen, and I'm the leader of a group of elite house flippers and wholesalers called Seven Figure Flipping. We don't brag or show off our success, but instead let integrity and stewardship be our guide. We are dedicated to helping people unlock the freedom they desperately need. If you ask other real estate investors, they will say to keep your secrets quiet.
Yeah, that's it.
But we believe in abundance, not scarcity. And that's why we are the elite. We are Seven Figure Flipping, and this podcast is our playbook.
All right, everybody, I'm really excited about this one. We are going to talk about a recent deal. And it's funny, when I was talking to my guest today, I was like, hey, I was told about this deal that you did. It closed a few months ago. And he's like, oh, yeah, I've done like a few deals since then. So I actually want to talk about a different one. I was like, that's killer. It's awesome. And to hear somebody, the purpose of these shows, to hear somebody that's doing deals today, in today's market, in today's conditions, in all the places where you say, I can't do it, I can't do it, I can't do it. Hopefully they give you some tips, tricks, and a mindset shift of the fact that you can do it. So I've got G Zawolo on the show today. G, what's up, man?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on the show today, Bill. Excited to talk about the deal with you. So I've been looking forward to this podcast.
Yeah, me too. You're welcome. Give me like a breakdown of this deal, and then we'll go into a little bit about you. So, do we have to build up to it? Was it a flip? Was it a wholesale deal? Is it a rental? Like, what is it? Tell me about it.
Yeah. So this deal is a wholesale deal that I got through not a traditional wholesaler. It was a friend of a friend. Had a property on a contract through a family member. And he didn't have enough capital to be able to go forward with the flip. So he was trying to, make quick cash. So they reached out to me, and they were familiar with my work in the area, and said, hey, I know you flip in this neighborhood. We do have a project. Are you interested in it? So that's kind of how I went from there.
Hang on. How were they familiar that you were doing projects in that area? Like, how did they know that?
The HVAC guy and the plumber, they were friends with him. So they were all together and we were talking about this project that they had. And they said, well, G does work, is this area in Philadelphia called Chestnut Hill area. Well, G does work in Chestnut Hill. They were not familiar with it, so the deal sounded risky to them. They didn't want to do it. So they said, you might want to talk to him about it since he's already done a few deals in that area going back to 2 years ago. So they always did my plumbing and my HVAC for me. And they said, okay, he might be the guy for you, so talk to him. So that's
awesome. So like total referral, people out there saying your name, knowing what you do, knowing that you're still looking for deals, and say, hey, reach out to this guy. So they reached out to you, and how did that go?
They reached out to me. I was actually at the gym. They called me, answered the phone call because I didn't know this guy. I knew the others. So they reached out to me. He said, I have this house. I'm trying to sell it, but I want to flip it, but I don't have enough cash. So he was trying to gauge where I was at to see how much I was willing to pay. And so I wanted to see how desperate he was. Maybe that's not the right term I should use, but we were both trying to, feel each other out. So long story short, I knew he didn't have the cash, nor did he have any relationships with lenders who will be willing to do the deal for him. So he really needed, I guess, my assignment fee, if you will. So I went with a little bit of a lower number. I know what the house would go for in an open market since I was familiar with it. And we kind of started from there. And he came back to me maybe a few hours later and said, okay, I will do the deal with you if you can up it by $10,000. So I started around like $70,000. And then he said flat out no. And then I came at 75. And then eventually he said, if you can do 85, I'll do the deal. So I accepted it.
Okay, so let's talk about the numbers real quick, because I think this is where a lot of people get tied up. So what did you project the ARV to be? So not what did you sell it for? What did you project the after repair value and the sale price to be in the beginning? Do you remember?
Yeah, I projected the ARV to be about 250 on the low end and about 280 on the high end. And,
so 250 to 280.
Yeah.
And then how much work did you think it was going to need?
$80,000 worth of work.
80K of work. And so your initial offer at 70 would put you kind of all in 150. sale price 250, closing costs, all that stuff. You got money costs in the middle and holding costs. And so what did you think that you were going to make on the deal? Like what was the projected profit margin that you were looking for initially?
I was projecting about 45,000 on the deal.
45,000. So for all of you that watch HGTV and all these flipping shows, that on paper there it looks like there's $100,000 margin, and G was projecting half of that. So, so then you went to 75. So what made you say I could go up to 85,000? Like, how'd you make that decision?
So I made a decision. Two key reasons. One, on the open market, the houses there were selling for anywhere from 120 to 140.
Like as is condition.
As is condition.
On the MLS. So if you listed this house,
yes,
they were selling a similar house, lookalike house in its current condition, not fixed up, was selling for between 120 and 140.
Yeah. So when I looked at it, I'm like, well, the house already have enough equity on this thing. Even if I started a project and things didn't work out my way, which sort of happened on the project with like the plumbing issue, some of those contingency costs, I would be okay. So I was fine with 85. And again, previous experience, because I had already flipped 5 properties in that particular neighborhood. So I knew like this was a steal if he could, if I could get this deal for 85. So I was.
So you were trying to get it for 70. You like snuck in there like, I'll do 70. Like, let me see if I can get this. How desperate is this guy?
Yeah.
And then he's like, no. And then you're like, all right, 75. And then you finally got his number. Was there any negotiation in there, or was it just like 85 and I'll do it? And you're like, okay, fine.
It was the only negotiation was I will accept the 85 G, but can you give me a few extra weeks, because they wanted to clear out the house. It was a family house. His grandfather owned it, and there was a lot of items in the house that they needed more time. I was trying to jump in the house and get to it because I was just seeing the dollar signs all over, so I just wanted to start right away. But so that's what we agreed on. I will give you a few extra weeks to clear out the property.
And did you close while they were clearing it out, or did they clear it out and then you closed when it was vacant?
They cleared it out and then I closed.
Okay. How much did the guy make on it that sold it to you? That was in the middle.
20. He made 25.
25K. Okay. Yeah. So, dang, he had that thing locked up at 60.
Yeah.
Wow, that sounds cheap for something that's selling at 120 to 140. So it's about right, Wholesalers got to buy somewhere around 50 cents on the dollar a lot of times, 50, 60 cents on the dollar to make their fees. Okay, so what happened? You bought it, you closed on it. How did you fund it? How did you finance the project?
I financed it, thanks to 7-Figure Flip, our relationship with Kiavi. Keep me handy on that one. So a mixture of my money and Kiavi is what I used to fund the deal. And
for anybody listening, Kiavi is a hard money lender. Inside of our program, we have 100% financing with them if you meet some certain criteria. So 100% of the purchase, 100% of the rehab. If you don't meet that criteria, it's usually 90% of the purchase and 100% of the rehab on a draw. And so really great setup that we have with them and the relationship. So I'm glad that worked out with you. And then you funded some of the gap money.
Yes, I did. I funded some of the gap money. I want to add a little bit to this. So it was a related party deal, Bill, on this one. So the wholesaler was related to the seller. So it had a little bit of a wrinkle. So I actually had to pay the assignment fee out of pocket.
Oh, because it was a non-arm's length transaction. Correct. Is what they said?
Yeah, that's what they said. So
okay, who said that? Kiavi did?
Kiavi did. It was the day before closing, underwriting, doing the final review. There was a little title said it was a double escrow instead of an assignment of contract. So Kiavi came back and said, we thought it was double escrow. That's why we're willing to fund everything, because up until that point, there wasn't any indication that they weren't going to pay the fee. But when they found that it wasn't double escrow and it was an assignment, then they started to look at the names of all the parties involved and started to ask questions. And of course, we were truthful and told them who were involved with the deal, and they were willing to go forward but they just weren't willing to pay the fee. So if I really wanted it, I had to do it. And again, I saw dollar sign over the house, and I wasn't excited about it. But the reality is, like, those deals like that don't come every day, especially in a competitive market. Philadelphia being a big city, so it fell in my lap. I couldn't let that go. So, I did get the money, and I took care of it and figured I'll be okay down the road. It's worth it.
So a couple things there. It sounds like if lessons learned here is if you do have a non-arm's length transaction with multiple parties being involved that are getting paid on it, and you're using a hard money lender like this, one thing could be, like you talked about, double closing. It sounds like they wouldn't care if it was a double close. So if that wholesaler was buying it, like had it under contract, I wonder if you could have flipped it to be a double closing and then paid the delta of the fees that so that the wholesaler still made 25K and you paid the fees on the other end. So assuming that Kiavi would have been fine on a double closing versus an assignment, they may still not once they found that out, because initially, so it's just, I don't know. It's interesting. I've never kind of come across that. There's been some other issues with non-arm's length transactions that we've had in my business of, like a daughter, aunt, or cousin helping them, and they're making money in the middle of certain parties not wanting to pay for that, whether it's usually a bank or, like you said, a hard money lender, where it's an easy way to kind of like mix money and get paid more for the property. Do it that way. So yeah, interesting. Okay, so you bought it, you closed on it, you used hard money and some of your money, and then what was the plan for the rehab? Like, how long was it going to take projected?
So the rehab projected about 10 weeks on this one.
10 weeks. So projected 10 weeks and 80K. How long did it take and how much did it take?
Actually, that project, I haven't wrapped it up yet. So
okay.
It is still ongoing, but the project itself is going smooth, like without any issues. The most hiccup I had was, like I said before, before settlement. So the biggest drawback to the project, of course, it creates a little bit of a capital constraint because I'm out of pocket 25K more than I like because I'm trying to scale and grow as quickly. But we are about 4 weeks out on the project right now. We've completed, so it was a full gut, everything, replaced the roof, demo everything, replace all new electrical, all new plumbing. We needed to get permit from the city to change the street connection to the house. So there are little issues here and there. But the good news is because of the high ARV on the property, Kiavi, I got $90,000 in the rehab budget was a little bit more than what I purchased it for. Which again, Kiavi only funded $60K for the purchase price, but they're willing to give me $90,000 because the number speaks for itself in the neighborhood. I guess it was just like, how did you get this deal? Because you're not getting those type of deals on MLS. So from that standpoint, it worked out for me once I was able to get the project started. Again, the numbers work because I did a lot of research on it, and also the team that I had, they've been working with me for a little while, so it helped me throughout the process. So we it's all drywall up now, so we've done everything behind the walls. We are currently going through, I guess, the tile installation in the bathroom. That's what we're doing. We're doing the pretty stuff now. That's what we're starting to do. Yeah.
And so how long? So how long did you have you been working on it so far?
I've been working on it now for 6 weeks.
Okay, so you will be at 10 weeks. So yeah. It's on schedule, it sounds like.
It's on schedule. It's on schedule.
Okay, that's great. That's great. So I was expecting your kind of comment and laughing about it, like, it's going way over. I see a lot of people going over timeline, especially in the past, like the past few years, kind of the market was bailing us out. A big push that I'll have to any flippers on here is really get your operations dialed in, because if you can be on timeline, on budget, you'll be able to make money in this market. When you get sloppy, that's when you have a little bit more of a challenge. So you've got 4 weeks to go. You're doing the pretty stuff, and it looks like the budget is going to be on budget.
It's going to be on budget, fortunately. So that's a good thing, because I can't afford to spend any more than I anticipated on this project. We got all of the big stuff behind us, and that has been very helpful. So another thing I wanted to add too, though, is I only just now requested my first draw just a week ago. So that's the good news. So I have a lot more, cash from Kiavi left that they have to pay out. So I try to do as much as possible, if I can, to minimize how much interest I have to pay. Granted, they're funding, up to 90K for me. That's good. But If I have a little bit of capital, I want to utilize it as best as I can, because at the end of the day, Kiabi's going to give me my money once the work is done. So I'm not stressed about that part once the deal is closed. So that's one of the things that I have tried to incorporate to minimize the number of draws that I can get. If, and everybody's situation is different, but I try to do that where I'm not going for more than 3 draws on the flip if I can.
Yeah. So what you're saying is, since the rehab costs, like you only pay interest on it when you're using it. So if it's not out, you're not using it. So you kind of have been, pushing that down the road a little bit. So you're not paying interest on that extra amount of money until you need it.
That is correct. Yes.
Yeah. So a little bit of strategy there. How does the 4 weeks to go kind of affect you in your market? So one thing that I remember from last year, it might have been 2 years ago, we had a house here in Spring Hill that we found. We bought it, we fixed it up, put like $10,000 into it, sold it. And I kind of missed the summer market, like the time for people to move for their kids in the school system that I wanted, by like 2 weeks. Like if we had gotten on the market 2 weeks earlier, I think we probably would have made $30,000 or $40,000 more on the project. I mean, it's a bigger house, it's more expensive. Yeah. And so that might have been like, I don't know, 8 or 10% delta, 40, 50K. So how does that affect you right now getting finished in like August versus, so like the pushing it 2 weeks and then now you're, 10 weeks out. Does that affect you or 4 weeks out from now, but 10 weeks of rehab? Does that affect you at all in your market in the summer selling season and stuff like that? Like, do you anticipate any of that?
I don't. And the only reason being is you're right. So school starts a little bit later here in Philly, not that late. I think they're going back around August 25th or 26th. I got to find the exact date. So it's going to be on the market, way before then. So that's the good news. So people who are looking out there still have a little bit more time to sort of make some decision. It could affect it in a way, obviously, because some folks who may want to already have, the house on a contract before then. But I'm optimistic because of the later school start here, usually on the East Coast. It helps us out a bit. So between the spring and the summer session is a little bit longer for us.
Yeah. And do you see that? Like, do you think about that when you're doing projects of when am I buying it? When's it going to come on the market? What do I anticipate the sale price to be or the demand for housing around that time to be?
Yeah, I do think about it because you do have a higher demand when you're doing these things. That being said, even if I am aware of it, I look at the deal in and of itself of how great of a deal it is. And I was like, there's going to be, somebody out there who's going to want this house just because of the nature of it, the market that is in. But it does impact it because usually properties that we put on the market in the summertime, they go a lot quicker. Early spring, they just go quicker. And prior to getting to flipping, I was like, people buy houses all the time, but the stuff is true. People like to move a certain time of the year. They have families and kids and they like to be settled. So it does impact it. So you will still sell the house, but your bottom line may be a little bit lower than what it could have been if, you were done a little earlier.
Yeah, I've seen it both ways too, right? Like you're trying to perfectly time it. And then I've seen it where we'll put a house on the market and you're like, this might not be the best time. And then there's just huge demand for it. And next thing you know, it gets bid way up. And I'm like, I don't even get this sometimes. So sometimes I think it's important to note, and I wanted to point that out for the listeners to kind of think about that because, early on in your career, you just kind of like, I'll just take a house, I want to fix up a house. I want to make some money. Like, I don't even remember when I sold my houses, my first couple. I did like one a year for 2 years, I don't even remember when it was. I have no idea. I was just like happy to have a house, take as long as I could to fix it up. It took like 6 months to get it done and sold. And I was like, well, like you said, somebody's going to need a house in the very beginning. As you start thinking about a business and you start like, structuring the raising money and, you're doing 3-4 projects at a time. It's really important to start looking at that because then next thing you got 15 houses on inventory at the same time and your operations aren't used to that and handling that.
Yes, that is definitely something that I'm try to remember and continue to incorporate because it does matter at the end of the day when you're scaling. So I'm not there yet, but I'm slowly getting there.
So what do you anticipate on this deal? Like how much do you still like look at like you think it's going to be 250? Have you kind of adjusted the ARV? Do you think you'll sell it for more? And then maybe we can get like an update and put it in the show notes and the comments after you sell it.
I still do. I think I can sell it. It depends how patient I am. I think I can sell it higher. I have seen a few sales in the area recently and I looked at the addition. I think I think I should. I think I can sell it for 267. I sold one December, the end of December, for 267. Similar property. The difference is this one, the one that I sold in December was a one-way street. So parking's a little tight. This one's a two-way street. Neighborhood's a little bit bigger. So just looking at those comparables, because they're right there, Bill. They're less than 0.1 mile from each other. So the comps are there. They're not far as typical row homes, city style next to each other. So I believe I can get 267 without a problem. It just depends how long am I willing to wait.
Awesome. I'm going to be cheering for 275 for you. I'm going to be cheering for 275 because of that two-way street. Okay, maybe you can give, like, I realize we just jumped right into it, and we wanted to kind of keep it tight here for everyone to, get a deal review, get a deal breakdown, understand some of the lessons learned, things like that. Maybe you can give like a quick, like, this is who I am, this is my background, this is where I'm at, and this is where I'm going.
Sure. All right. So, G. Zawolo. I've been in year 3 right now, or flipping. I'm a CPA, 9 to 5. I work with the federal government. I got into flipping by helping out a client, just managing the books and things of that nature. And that's when I became curious about this whole real estate business. How does it work? How much money you need to have to really do this stuff? Because it can be a little bit overwhelming. So throughout, my background, managing the books and doing taxes, I started to look at the numbers and like, oh, this could be a possibility if I really pay attention to it, save a little bit. You don't have to be a millionaire to get started. So, and that's how I kind of got into it. So managing a client's book in 2019 took some time to learn the numbers. And then my confidence kind of grew from there, that one of these days I'm going to do this. And I would drive by and I would see houses, and I just didn't know how to get started. But then eventually I got, with time, confidence came, and I would say, well, I'm going to try to set up my first LLC. I did it, didn't do nothing with it for a few months because, you're waiting to get there because it just sounds risky. Eventually got to the point partner with someone just to sort of minimize the risk of going to these things by yourself. And now, yeah, we are. And I believe I'm on my 15th deal. It went from, like they say, from 0 to 100 real quick. At first year, it's like 2 houses. And next year, the deals are just coming. And I'm just like, I don't know what's happening, but you're excited, but you're learning at the same time. So, what I would say is if it's something you thought about doing, it's something you're interested in doing, it's always good, if you're connected with people who've done it, they can share their experiences with you. It's good to always be part of a community, people who've done these things. You're not alone. At the end of the day, there's so many people who have ideas and things of that nature. So, so that's my story. So, being counter in the day and trying to be a flipper at night. So that's kind of where I'm at.
And do you like your job, and how long is that going to continue?
I do. I love my job. When I say I really do. I love my job. But so I've been with the government now. I believe this September is going to make me 16 years with it. So I might have a decision on my hands in 4 years. So.
Awesome. I had a similar decision to make. So,
was it an easy decision?
Leaving active duty, I thought was, I had built up a business that was really successful then. We were doing probably almost 200 deals a year that year. And I made 10 times more money in the military, or in the flipping houses, than I did in the military. But the hardest part was like hanging up the flight suit, and like not, I don't know. I had done that and I loved it too. I love the flying. So the good part about me is I got to, instead of like running my business kind of quote unquote part-time, I was able to start to fly for the Navy part-time. So I didn't leave completely. So that would have been really hard. I think that would have been, I don't think I would have liked that too much, but what I was able to do is get rid of all the stuff I didn't like to do, like paperwork and documents and stuff and side jobs, and then just be a reservist, which our only job was to fly. So to be able to show up and fly, and that's my only job really. I don't have a like collateral duty or another side job that I had to do in the military, and get rid of like all the garbage and just fly, and then be able to put more time into my real estate business. I kind of was presented with a really great opportunity. So that was an easier decision because of it. And the whole like pension and everything. I mean, it was like $1 million over a difference over the lifetime. where I was like, I'm pretty sure I could make that in a year. I
Yeah.
wasn't doing that yet, but I had the mindset that I could do it. And so I think it was a great decision for me. And I
Yeah.
think everybody's kind of different. I always said, I'll do it until as long as I love it.
Yeah. Well, that's good advice,
And
Bill. Yeah.
well, what happened, G, was I started loving real estate more and I started loving business more. And so then I was like, okay, I'm starting to get pulled over here. What does that mean? And for me, the difference was I kind of felt like I was starting to get a little bit like, I don't know if unsafe is the word, but like I'm thinking about real estate and business while I'm flying the plane. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, this is like, I'm obsessed here. I gotta spend more time doing this. And I really do like it and love it. I want to jump more into it. So for you, I mean, I don't know, you might miss like a 0 and 1 or something and screw up some books. But for me, I got to a place where I was like, I just got to go all in on this. Hey, how did you find us? How did you find 7-figure flipping and everything like that coming into the program?
I found actually it was Kiavi because I had done deals with them before. So when they reached out to me and said they were going to upgrade my account to a pro account, and then they told, so I was like, oh, that's great. And they told me what the benefits were for a pro account. And I said, well, is there anything else, you have out there other than what you're telling me about? They said, oh, well, we do have affiliation, and they mentioned a few, groups. And then I was presented, go and do your research and decide which one of them works best for you. So then I went online, did some reading, and then reached out and, sort of did my own due diligence and interview process and figure out, okay, where would be the best place for me. That sort of works kind of like with my, my 9 to 5, my projects I have going on will be a good community, and it kind of went from there. So I think I made a decision like a day after.
And what was it about us that you liked, and then how has it been so far?
Yeah. So one of the things to talk about, I'm trying to remember the gentleman's name that I spoke with. It would have given like the small group, the small group accountability group, right? So you're not on your own. I think that's what it was about. So I've been doing it now, it was 2 years, but you're on your own, and sometimes you're just winging it. And it feels good to be with people who share ideas, where it forces you to be a little bit disciplined. So we meet once a week, talk about those things, where you have these groups, you talk about things together, you sort of grow together. Everyone is at different stages, but it's part of a community. So you're being held accountable. Yes, I'm doing these flips by myself, but it's also good to be among your peers and others who are doing things better than you. Because I feel personally, if you're the smartest guy in the room, try to find other smart people you can be with and learn something from them, or just grow. So I kind of like that aspect. And it's also, as a remote nature, like, okay, we get on Zoom and we talk. So we're all together, even though we're all far apart. You're learning about things in different markets and different ideas. And I like that. I've learned a lot, like real estate, you're not limited by the location you're in. And I don't think I would have gotten that if I just kept doing things on my own, because I'm seeing people do stuff, that I admire and that I aspire to do. So that's what I enjoy about that community feel. You're not on your own.
I love that. There's I really feel like business is lonely. Real estate business is pretty lonely. Sometimes you feel like it's all on you, and to be able to share that with a community of people that are like-minded is really important. So I love that you enjoy the accountability groups and they're helpful. Hey, what do you need, and how can people find out, reach out to you? Like, is there something that you need? You need money, you need deals. We kind of talked about you're in the Philly area, maybe get a little more specific and just like, this is your chance to say, hey, this is what I need some help here. Your commercial at the end for being on here and adding a ton of value to everybody.
Oh, great. Yeah. So I think, like most flippers, constantly looking for deals out there. So trying to get on as many, buyers lists, where just to help my numbers get better deals. Competition is stiff. So being connected with, wholesalers and people who are doing these business will be a helpful thing. And I think that's the biggest thing for me at this moment. That, and of course, at the end of the day, capital, right? So there are things that, strategies that I'm employing, been able to raise money here and there and get there, but always looking for, folks who are trying to partner or they're interested in doing things in the Philadelphia market. But the biggest thing is trying to get on more wholesalers list for me. That's number one. Can I give my email address?
Absolutely. I think every wholesaler is like, how do I get G on my buyers list? He's a real buyer.
All right. Yeah. So thank you. So my email address is so Charlie, my last name, Zawolo, Z as in zebra, AWOLO, Holden, Holding. So cczawolo@gmail.com.
Nice. We'll put it in the show notes too and send it out in the email. So if you're listening to this, you can just pop in the show notes and copy and paste that and add G to your buyers list. I recommend you email him, ask him for some of the criteria, what he's looking for, that kind of stuff. And then if you're interested in joining us in the Runway program, I encourage you all to go to 7figurerunway.com. So the number 7figurerunway.com. That link will be in the show notes too, or in the comments or description on YouTube or wherever you see this or hear this. You can just click on it. There's like a real short application, couple minutes. And like 1 minute, probably like 3 or 4 questions. And then you can jump on a call with one of our team members. And just like G said, it's not like, hey, you have to buy this, you have to join this program. It's kind of like, hey, what are you looking to do? How can we help you? Here's what we offer. And if it's the right fit for you, then come on in. If you're the right fit for us and we're the right fit for you, we'll make an invite. And it's that simple. So I'd really encourage you to get off the sidelines. For me, coaching and mentorship and being a part of a community like this has absolutely changed my business and my life. I believe it can do the same for you. And a lot of times it's just about the money. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm not spending money. Those kind of things. Like, look, coaching and mentorship is so important in our life. You're going to pay for it one way or the other. You're going to pay for it on the street, or you're going to pay for it out of your pocket. So those are the two. It got me a lot faster, a lot further, a lot faster. So Ajit, last question. Do you feel like in the last year or the last few months, you've accelerated your growth being a part of a program versus doing it on your own for 2 years?
Oh yeah, I've learned more in the last few months being part of 7-Figure Flip than I did the first 2 years of my business, because I was alone. I was on my own. You're spending, I don't want to use the word wasting time, but you're spending so much time trying to find the answers when there are people out there who've done these things before. So, you have a place to ask questions. I've went from the number of deals I did, 7 deals last year, to where right now I'm like, I can do 5 deals at a time. I have 4 projects ongoing right now. Those are things I wasn't going to be able to do before. To be able to scale my operations. You hear these things, but you just don't know how it's possible. So when people are sharing ideas with you, so 100% recommend 7-Figure Flip. It has been a game changer for me in so many ways. Things I was afraid to do, I'm not anymore. One thing I can mention, Bill, for example, as far as scaling my operations, I was able to, work to get someone on my team. Like, I'm just starting to help me because I'm seeing all these exciting things that can happen. I'm like, I can't do this by myself. I can bring someone here to help me with some of, like the admin work. Without 7-Figure Flip, I would have constantly kept staying up late, 2 o'clock in the morning, doing all those things, which adds no value to what I want to do. And there are people out there who can do it better than me, and I can focus on how to get more properties, more deals, and just keep on growing. So absolutely, you learn more in a short period of time. Things that would have taken you years to do, you will learn in a few months, and it's up to you at the end of the day. And that's, like I said, what I love about the accountability group. And I got the opportunity to attend the event in May in Spring Hill. You leave there. I don't know. At first, I wasn't sure, am I going to make it? I'm working, I'm busy. And you said something that reminded me. It's like, listen, man, you can always make time to do things, that you care about, you're passionate about. When I hear your story and I admire that and I respect it, I'm like, well, if Bill was able to make time, like you were saying, growing a business while still working full time, what's my excuse? Why am I not able to get on these laser coaching calls? Or why am I not able to get on these simulation sessions? You can make the time if it truly matters to you, because the community of people who's willing to help you. So it's made me more accountable than I ever been. So now it's kind of like sky's the limit, as long as I keep participating. So I'm all in.
I love it. I love the mindset, and man, I'm incredibly proud of you. It's not easy. A lot of people use the full-time job as an excuse. You're doing it. You're out there, and you're also putting in the time and the effort and the work. So well done. And for those of you that are listening, go to 7figurerunway.com right now. Fill out an application. Just apply to join us. Just check it out. And I if it's the right fit for you, you'll know. So especially in talking to us and figuring that out. Like G said, shopping a couple other things. I know that we're not the only program out there. I know that we're not. I'm not the only person with a podcast. I'm not the only person teaching real estate. I totally get that. The problem that we have out there is we're listening to too many people. We're listening to 15 different people, and we don't have any like real direction and guidance and wisdom. And there's so much information, we don't know what to make of it. So we're spending more time trying to figure out what information to listen to and not listen to. So thankful to have you, man. I really enjoyed having you down at the event, throwing you like up on stage, talking about your like your market and looking at the area and all that stuff. It was just really cool to have all of you guys there. But getting to know you better specifically was really nice. So I'm excited for you to see what the future holds, and hit G up. You got his email address. Hit him up for your buyers list if you're in Philly and looking to sell some properties because he's looking to buy. G, thanks for coming here, talking to me, sharing the goods. I really appreciate it, man. Thanks.
Thank you, Bill. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And everybody who's listening, I will see you on the next show. Bye.